Frank's Red Hot is the perfect blend of flavor and heat, so you can use an entire bottle to make recipes like buffalo chicken dip or buffalo nachos, or even things that don't start with buffalo. Frank's Red Hot, I put that on everything.
Hey, Craig!
It's on you, it's all on me. Can't you see? It's on you, it's all on me. You and me, can't you? It's on you, it's on me.
Hey, Craig. Right or wrong, we don't care. Win or lose, we don't care. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care.
Hey, Jeff, it's our first short podcast of the season.
Woohoo!
Where we only talk about previewing the other team.
Yeah, all the people who hate our beer segments and hate our rambling and are like, your episodes are too long,
Yeah.
this should be right up their alley.
Yeah, so this is Podcast versus Everyone, episode 129, the Portland State preview edition. I am Craig Powers. With me is Jeff Newser.
Hello.
So we'll have to make sure that we can keep this short, avoiding banter such as this.
Yes.
Okay, nice. Thank you for responding to that. Okay.
Sorry, the Cougs just gave up a goal, so now I'm kind of pissed.
Oh,
Second blunder that resulted in a tap-in.
so are they losing now? Or
They are now, yes.
yeah,
Damn it.
one of those games where they've dominated generally,
Yes.
but
Yes, and made two blunders in the back that have both ended up in the goal. So,
Okay, so-
hooray.
okay.
So they got 10 minutes to find an equalizer. Anyway,
yeah.
This is Soccer Talk with Jeff and Craig.
So we're just gonna live. Jeff's gonna watch it, and I'm gonna ask him what's going on.
Yeah, if you hear me start yelling, you'll know what happened. So,
But I was watching a soccer game. I was working on my preview for Coug
yeah,
Center.
you're a better
which I
worker
will-
than I am.
which I will mostly be using as our preview here. So if you check it out, I'll probably get it finished after this, or maybe in the morning, and have it up on the site if you like written things.
Yes.
But yeah, so Portland State FCS team, they've played one game so far. They lost at Hawaii. The game was probably not quite as close as the final score indicated. Hawaii kind of shut it down a bit in the second half, and Portland State started coming back. And Portland State did WSU versus Arizona, recovered a kickoff in the end zone for a touchdown. So that helped make the margin a little closer. Otherwise, it might have looked a little worse. But what we always like to start with is the other team's defense versus our offense, because our offense is generally better than our defense. So we'll do the happy stuff first. So what you see against Hawaii is that Portland State gave up 7.8 yards per play and 12.2 yards per pass.
That's a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, Hawaii did nothing approaching those in their first matchup with UCLA, who is obviously quite a bit better than Portland State, it seems. But yeah, so Portland State's defense, the last season they played, 2019, was real bad. Got shred quite a bit, gave up over 30 points per game, over 6 yards of play. I think it was closer to 6.5. I don't know. They returned some guys. They didn't return some of their interior guys. They returned a safety that was out for most of that season, so that could be good. That's Ryan Lesh. They got a young freshman starting at linebacker who led them in tackles in the first matchup against Hawaii. So that maybe they have some some hope of some improvement there. But yeah, the way Hawaii shredded them up, WSU likely has a better offense than Hawaii, more talent. And
we think so.
we think so. SP Plus sure thinks so, but I don't know.
Well, SP Plus is still baking in the projections, which are,
Yeah, there's still some 2019 in there.
Yep.
But I mean, we've got 5 games with Rolovich in the SP Plus, and they're still 18th in offense. So maybe there's hope that this could be a good offense. Maybe it'll help that we know who the quarterback is, Jaden DeLaura.
Yeah, maybe it'll help the rest of the team that they know.
So Hawaii actually didn't throw very much against Portland State. They only threw 24 times. I think there was only 6 pass attempts and like 3 sacks in the second half. So they really weren't trying to pass much in the second half. And they had a lot of success running the ball, especially in the first half. Do you think WSU will actually run the ball, or it'll be like Utah State, where it's going to be just the same exact game plan as always, and hope it works out?
I think Rolovich is very aware of the criticisms that he's facing right now. So, it's like the Borgie number is just out there. Like everybody's like 11 carries. Like he keeps getting asked about it after practice. Like, I mean, everybody knows that wasn't enough. And so in those circumstances, especially against a team that they should, do well against, I think there will be a concerted effort to run the ball. I think that they will. I don't know how many that looks like, but I think there will be, just because Rolovich isn't as we mentioned this before, but not as dogmatic about his offense as Mike Leach is, and so I think it would really be surprising to me if they did not really make an effort to get Borgie the ball, and some of that will probably be Deion McIntosh too. So where I think the two of them combined for 15 carries, I think that's going to end up being more like 25 to 30. I just think there's going to be we need to get right on the ground, and this seems like really a perfect opponent to do that. It's not quite like Utah State, where it's like, well, this is their first game too. We don't really know what we're getting. I think you have a pretty good idea of what you're getting with Portland State, and if Hawaii was able to kind of dice them up, Hawaii does not seem like a very good offense. I think this is going to be a little bit of a get right game for the offense for sure.
Yeah, obviously there's going to be. I've watched them. I watched whatever I could of that, the highlights. I watched a lot of Portland State highlights as much as I could. Kind of hard to find, especially defense, because you have to find the other team,
right?
In all their best plays. But yeah, they're going to be. Sorry, excuse me. They're going to be running pretty. Drinking beer while you're podcasting, that'll happen.
It's a good combo.
They're going to be running a pretty small defensive line. They do. They have a nose tackle, 2 defensive ends, and like a rusher position. So they don't run like a 4 across. I mean, it looks 4 across like quite often. So I think that rusher gets down, puts his head in the ground. So it'll be interesting to see. If the offensive line struggles against Portland State, then we're really effed, like really fucked. I guess that we can cuss on this. If offensive line cannot just run over them, and like Borgie should be pushing 8 yards a carry versus or more against Portland State. They should be pushing them down the field. Hawaii's best running back at 8 yards a carry. I don't see why. And Hawaii's quarterback ran for a bunch. Jaden DeLaura should also be able to have a nice game on the ground as well. So,
I think there's the potential to learn. It's funny, like we could learn a lot from this game. It's like normally with an FCS you wouldn't say that, but like if we kind of like what you alluded to, if we struggle, that
see where the floor
probably
is.
tells us a lot about
Yeah.
what we ought to be able to expect. Because if they go and dominate them and have 10 yards of carry or whatever, I don't know if there's a whole lot you take away from that, right? Because everybody does that to them, and we should, and whatever. But like if it turns out that we don't, then we're like, okay, maybe we're a lot closer to the floor than we thought. So
yeah, take care of the ball. That's it. That kind of bit Hawaii a couple times. They turned the ball over a couple times. But yeah, take care of the ball, which Jaden, as loose as he plays, has actually been pretty good at that so far. And Hawaii also gave up a few sacks to Portland State, so Jaden is a pretty tough guy to sack, so hopefully they can negate some of that. Also, just don't let them get in the backfield, please. But it was like the linebackers and stuff, they're getting the sacks, so it's probably on blitzes, probably on different packages, things like that. So that's something to keep an eye on. They may be pretty aggressive. They seem like they're a fairly aggressive defense, so we might see a few more shovel passes in this one. We'll see if we get one to pop.
Dear God, no. No more shovel passes.
I will say the receivers should be able to get open on them too. And again, they kind of struggled a bit against Utah State. I'd like to see them have a better game. Again, this is us looking at what the floor is, and that's pretty much all you can assess in a game like this is what for our offense is what is the floor, and hopefully the floor is much higher than Portland State's defense. So
that's what we hope. That's
yeah, and I think it is. I think it is. So
I hope so.
Yeah. So yeah, that's. I don't know what else to say. I hope that Borgie, has a nice day, and all the fans are happy. He gets his touches, and McIntosh gets some touches, and Delora has a nice game, and we do some stat padding and whatever. That would be the hope. You just never know. The weather looks okay. Last time we played Portland State, which we have not mentioned yet, we lost to them. The weather was pretty bad. Interesting thing to note, that was Bruce Barnum's first game at Portland State as coach, and he was an interim coach. He started the season as an interim coach, which was kind of weird.
Yep.
They really didn't trust him, I guess, but then he had that win, and then he had a few more wins, and they had a nice season that year. I think they went 9-3 and went to the playoffs. But he ended up mid-season getting signed on as permanent. So you're welcome, Bruce.
Yeah,
you're welcome for that career that you now have. He's been at Portland State ever since.
And he's so thankful for it that he sent his 2 kids here to play baseball. Did you see that?
I didn't see that. Excellent.
Yeah.
That's
his kids play on the baseball team. So
yeah, he just loves WSU.
He just loves WSU
yeah, you gotta
that
go there.
much.
I owe my career to that school.
Sending his money over here. At least we got that going for us.
So I will say that game, that last time we played Portland State, we thought it was going to be an easy offensive day, but it wasn't.
Nope.
That was classic Luke Falk starts every season terribly.
That was just like you were at that game. That was
yeah.
That was to be one of the most miserable sporting experiences of your life.
Yeah, that was my very first game as a season ticket holder after I moved back from the East Coast. And
welcome back from Vermont, Craig.
It's funny, Dad. My dad and I went, and there was just not very many people in town, and I got like a crappy hotel the night before, and I was like, it's 11 a.m. game. We'll just drive home back to Yakima afterwards.
Yeah.
We went to the game. We were so mad. Then we ended up staying because we was like, we got to make something good about this weekend. So we stayed Saturday night and had some fun. Hopefully, I know I'll have fun in Pullman this weekend. I hope that the Cougs aren't the exception to that as they were last weekend.
Yeah.
But as long as the offense does well, I think we'll be okay. But still, let's talk about the Portland State offense, which is no slouch. I'll say, like, they have a veteran senior quarterback in. I just wrote it. I can't. He has like one of those.
He's very memorable.
Davis. He's got like a reverse name. Davis Alexander. Yeah, he has a reverse name. Davis Alexander. So he put up 400 yards against Hawaii. He had pretty nice numbers in 2019. I watched as much. I watched a handful of highlights on him. He's real good scrambler, real good runner. So that 400 yards passing wasn't his normal MO. He's typically, the Portland State typically runs more than they throw, but they were obviously just coming back against Hawaii.
Right.
So he threw a bunch. And Hawaii has a pretty bad defense, which kind of, so does WSU. So it kind of makes you worry against a team like this. Yeah, he looks pretty good. Definitely looks like a guy that could frustrate WSU because he makes a lot of scramble plays. Kind of reminds me of like Minshew when he would just run and then keep his eyes downfield and throw the ball, or he just runs out of it. He's got more speed. So he can pick up yards on the ground or wiggle out of sacks and make plays downfield. So he's if you need a reason to stress, he's definitely a good reason to stress. Portland State does a lot of 11 personnel, which is one running back, one tight end. They don't throw their tight end that much, but they will split them out sometimes. They didn't throw them to him much at all against Hawaii. So maybe their new tight end, the last one graduated, is not quite as adept at splitting out. We'll see. But yeah, Jeff, what do you think? Does Davis Alexander make you worried against our lovely WSU defense?
Well, like any good Cougar fan, a mobile quarterback is terrifies me, right? So, yeah, but I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's, again, it's where's the floor, right? So, how much is Portland State going to be able to accomplish? Does our defensive line look overwhelmed again? Like it's really going to kind of be a lot of eye test kind of stuff, which is kind of really the best I got. Like again, I don't know what you learn from, this other than, how do they look, right? I mean, and by the way, this is all assuming that somehow we win, right? How do they end up looking versus a team like this? And, it's, as we said, they looked, very underwhelming against Utah State just overall. And I mean, even when Utah State wasn't doing much, it still didn't look great for the defense, right? Like, or maybe that's just me, but it just kind of felt like, yes, Utah State's not really moving the ball, but it doesn't feel like we're like dominating.
They got a couple fortunate turnovers,
right?
I think that looked like Utah State was moving the ball, and then they turned the ball over.
So it never really felt like we were sort of like suffocating Utah State.
Yeah,
or something.
Definitely against Utah State when those turnovers came, it was like a sigh of relief more than anything. Like, oh,
right,
thank you. They're not moving the ball anymore.
Yep.
Yeah. So it always felt like Utah State was at least able to do something.
Yep.
But again, who knows how good Utah State is? I don't think they're going to be very good. I think they're better than they were last year, but I don't think they're going to be that good. So it's still, it's mostly like you said, it's the lines being dominated, and so the WSU defensive line should definitely not be dominated against Portland State. As much as Portland State likes to run, as much as all that, they should be able to hold their ground. So they'll be mixing in 3 or 4 running backs, and then Alexander's going to run. So it'll be a nice test. I think it'll be a nice test of like the defensive discipline as well.
Yep.
When you have a scrambling quarterback, they like to split him out. I saw many highlights. They split him out, empty back set, and he likes to run out of that. He'll run a draw, or he'll scramble and pick up yards. So again, they got to be disciplined. I wouldn't be surprised to see, a spy on him at times, because he really is their best asset offensively.
Yeah.
Another one that was likely to be their best asset, but he didn't play against Hawaii, is Emmanuel Dagby, and he's a wide receiver. He's their best returning wide receiver, but he was hurt in spring ball, and he didn't. I looked at participation, and he didn't play against Hawaii, so I don't know. He could be against WSU. That would be another thing. Another interesting one is Darian Chase. He was a 3-star recruit to Nebraska 2 years ago, and now he's a redshirt freshman at Portland State, and he's starting. And he had a nice day against Hawaii, so maybe he could be a guy that could give our secondary trouble. But yeah, I don't think Portland State's offense is probably like on par with some of the worst offenses WSU would face. So I wouldn't be surprised if they could put up some points. But again, and what has me worried though is Portland State has kind of shown the propensity to put up points in the second half in their last several. If you go back to 2019 and stuff with Alexander, and as we know, WSU's defense has been known to wilt under Jake Dicker in the second half. So should we hold our confidence back if WSU has a good defensive first half?
Yes. Yes, we totally should. Are you kidding? Like, this team is is like, they are 100% in guilty until proven innocent situation. Like, it's like, I'm going to assume that they're going to lose this game until they don't. I'm going to assume.
Hopefully the moment doesn't get too big.
Oh my God. You had to bring that up. Like, George Hicks, like the 50-year senior, says, the moment got a little too big for us on Saturday.
George Hicks, who played on the 2018 top 10 team.
I'm just like,
who played in the Alamo Bowl, who played in the Stanford, played on game day. He hoped that the opener against Utah State, the moment didn't get too big, which I get. It's like their first game.
No,
back
he said the moment did get too big.
The moment did get too big.
The moment got too big for them. I'm like, oh my! We just, we started missing assignments and whatever. I'm just like, we're going off on a tangent now. That to me just screams coaching.
On that note,
everything else, but yeah. So I would say, I until they prove to me that that they deserve the benefit of the doubt, they're not going to get it, right? And so, I wonder. We talked about this on our last show on our a couple days ago. I wonder about their mental state as a team. I wonder if they are as fragile as it sure looks like they are. Now, Nick Rolovich insists that this team is solid and sound and mentally tougher than last year's team. And I'm like, Mike Leach's teams were like known for their mental toughness. Like, that was like the thing. Like, they were going to be mentally tough, really tough. And they were going to, fight. I mean, they would make mistakes, no doubt about it, but they would fight and scrap and fight and scrap and fight and scrap. And we had lots and lots of and Rolovich inherited a program that was known for that. And did they just, like, Mike Leach left and they got soft? Like I don't really believe that. I don't think that happened. So what is he talking about? I don't know. But the whole thing just is, a disaster right now. And so until it's not a disaster, I'm going to assume it's going to be a disaster. So I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch the game. You are driving over. You also are going to watch the game.
Yep.
I think Sarah is taking our Sounders tickets so I can watch the game. And I'm just like, maybe I should just go to the Sounders. I don't know, but The way they've played at home, that's not going to be fucking better anyway. So,
Right.
so I don't know. I don't know, man. I want to believe there's no way they can lose this game. Like, I really want to believe that. And yet,
If Portland State has enough offensively, and they were one of the better offensive Big Sky teams in 2019, and they have the same QB, they have some of the same talent, especially if they have Dagby. I don't know. I tried to look up his status. I couldn't find it. But yeah, it's just so they have enough. They have enough talent where if the defense is just not with it, they could put up points. And if the offense isn't with it, it could happen. And that's exactly what happened in 2015. And that's what happened in 2016 against Eastern. These are possibilities. I don't think that Portland State is on the level of that 2016 Eastern team. Not even close. They were picked 10th in the Big Sky by the coaches and media.
They don't have
this
a
year.
future NFL wide receiver out there? No.
No. And another fringe one.
Yeah. I just think that we're
and a future backup WSU quarterback.
Yeah. The question is, is this team?
Well, as long as our wristbands are good.
Yes.
I don't.
Is this team fragile or is this team resilient? And right now, I'm leaning towards fragile. The stuff that I said before, plus just the way that they've talked, after the game, and whatever. It's just like how sometimes athletes sound like they are trying to convince themselves, right? Like they don't really believe what they're saying; they're just saying it to try and convince themselves, right? And that's the vibe that I get. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to lose, right? I mean, they could definitely win. But it means, it could be a little touch and go. When I was doing my picks, my tally site picks for this weekend, there was no spread on the Cougar game because I was absolutely prepared to pick Portland State to cover, whatever it was, unless it was really low, like less than a couple of touchdowns. But, I just think that this team is teetering a little bit. Maybe they will prove me wrong. But what I've seen from them over, these 5 games under Rolovich lead me to think that, man, they are, it might be a little touch and go even in a game where they should win fairly handily.
Yeah, I'm looking, I'm not finding a line. I'm sure PJ could find one.
Yeah, there might be one somewhere.
I don't know if there's one in his Gambletron post. But yeah, I was having that same thought when I was working on my preview. I'm like, man, if there's a line, I'm going.
Yeah,
I'm going Portland.
Like Portland State's
cover.
got just enough. They've got just enough to make you think that it could get dicey.
Because the defense has not done much to prove to us that they're not going to give up at least 24 points,
right.
28 points, something like somewhere in that. Like it just, they just haven't shown us anything since Dickert has taken over, and then going back to 2019, they haven't shown us anything where they just can avoid giving up, something in the 20s at the very least.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah, PJ didn't have them, so
I'm looking on Vegas Insider right now. I'm trying to see if they've got.
I don't know if PJ couldn't find a line. Usually, there's one site that has a line for the FCS games, and then there's one guy in your row at the stadium that knows what it is, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Where did you find this? Yeah, but I guess we've rambled on enough. I guess
time to make predictions.
I got I'm drinking my, we usually don't do the beer, but I'm drinking my Fremont Truth Serum Hellas Lager.
Yeah.
So I got to be honest with whatever I pick. Got to be honest with myself.
Yeah.
About this. So Jeff, I don't know how we can do anything without knowing what Vegas thinks, but we'll do our best.
Yeah.
And so hit me with your score prediction.
All right. So I'm going to go. So by the way, I also am having a Fremont. I'm having a head full of dynamite, whatever version this is, 20 whatever of it.
It's a lot more alcohol than yours. Than mine.
Yeah, I needed that tonight. So I'm going to say Cougs pull away at the end, either pull away at the end or get a pretty decent lead and start getting a little butt clench going on. I'm going to say 31-21 Cougs.
Wow.
Yeah. 31-21. They end up winning by 10. I could see it either way. I could see it, they have to kind of, it's tight and then they, score a little bit at the end.
What, 45?
Yeah.
49?
Yeah, I'm not buying that from us yet. Not yet.
All right.
Not yet.
I'm a little more bullish on our offense.
Good.
I'm going to say 49 Cougs, 28 Portland State.
Okay. I like that. Hey, we came up with different
very
ideas.
different. That's the most different we've ever
we're
been.
usually
except for
in the
one
ballpark.
time I think I picked the Cougs to win like a game they had no way of winning. But so 49-28 for me, 31-21 from you. I will take either result, honestly, just because I just want to see the Cougs win. But I think I would be feeling not so great if what you said happens.
Oh, I would not feel great either, and I am fully prepared to not feel great. So,
yeah,
I'm 100% ready to not feel great.
Can a coach get fired after a 10-point win?
Yeah,
well,
it's possible.
Let's see what happens. All right, we're just over 30 minutes.
Yeah,
sounds good, man. So we're gonna keep doing these. They should hit your feed on Friday, all season long. These quick previews. Follow me on Twitter at the Craig Powers. Follow and at Craig W Powers on Instagram. Follow Jeff at Pod VS Everyone. If you have any questions for our next show, podcast VS Everyone at gmail.com. Thank you, Randy England, for the music.
Yeah.
And that's at Randy England Music on Instagram. And go Cougs.
Go Cougs, Craig. Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.